through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Summertime is here, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? Your dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so it can look and perform its best. Visit their website, HuskerGrillCleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Welcome to The Drive with A.D. Raff and Amon Green. Former Husker football national champion, speaker, and author, Aaron Davis.
Nebraska will win the national championship. The Cornhuskers beat Miami. It is history, 13-0, and bring that trophy back to Lincoln.
Former Arena Football League quarterback, former head coach of the Capital City Crush, and guru of Husker football history, Chris Raff.
25 straight wins for the Cornhuskers. One of the most dominating stretches in college football history.
We may have seen one of the best teams in the history of college football tonight.
12-year NFL veteran.
He's got some speed to go with strength.
Huskers and Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer.
Shovel pass to Green into Vikings territory. Finally brought down.
And University of Nebraska eSports coach, Amon Green.
Look at Green all by himself. 20, 10, touchdown.
Sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in. It's a Monday, and it's The Drive with AD and Nick. AD, though, unfortunately, not here today because we have one of our co-hosts, Chris Raff, our co-workers. He's deciding to tie the knot today. And so, Chris Raff, congratulations.
Hey, listen, for the Drive people. If you ever want somebody that's going to be a backdoor hater, it's that man right there.
What did I say?
First of all,
he's tying the knot. Congrats to Raff.
First of all, unfortunately, AD isn't here. That's hater raid number one.
Okay,
that's example number one. Number two, the way you described Raff getting married, he has decided. Like, you against it. Here, I'll say it how it be. Listen, we are delighted to have Jay Foreman sitting in for Aaron Davis. He's trying to hold it up for Aaron Davis. We know he'll do a great job. That's how you do that, right? We're
Okay.
excited to have. Number 2.
We are excited to have Jay.
One of our compadres, one of the, the whatever you guys call yourself, the Drive or whatever, the Three Amigos, is doing the thing that we're so proud of him doing today. Raph is taking the leap of faith and getting married. He's going to jump the broom because he has street credit.
That's right.
So that's how you do it. You just say, well, he's decided.
He has decided.
Yeah, he decided.
He decided to get down on a knee, propose, and now get married.
Nick, listen, everybody on the text line, you need to text in on a scale of 1 to 7 because we don't do 1 to 10.
Was that
7
aggressive?
being the worst? What level of haterade is Nick displaying this morning? Easily 8.3.
Oh my gosh. Well, either way, that is Jay Foreman, as you can tell. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line open for everybody throughout the course of the show. We got plenty of stuff to get to. Jay and I don't get to do a lot of radio when it's not in football season. Jay, you and I usually on post-game shows.
Yeah.
And then we usually get our fill of each other and we say, okay, we're going to take some time off from doing radio together until next fall.
Mhm.
But here we are. I was thinking, okay, who should I ask to fill in?
Mhm.
I have to be honest. You were my first text. I was 1 for 1 right off the bat, so I appreciate it.
Yeah.
This is me trying to not be, as you call it, a hater.
Okay.
And I need you to reciprocate some of this energy.
I appreciate you thinking of me first.
You're welcome. How was the July 4th weekend?
It was good. It was low key.
Did you do anything?
Not much. Just got together with some friends. Kicked
Okay.
it. Low key. Watched the fireworks. I mean, it's
So what you just got mad at me for doing a couple of minutes before we came on air. You did the same thing.
No, but see, July 4th is a national holiday.
It is.
Which was Friday.
You're right.
That means nobody was working.
Yep.
So therefore, I didn't have any work obligations on July 4th.
Mm-hmm.
You, my friend, had an obligation to send a text or email.
Yeah.
And you didn't do either because you decided to hang out with your buddies. We can't work on telepathy.
Okay.
We live in this thing, in this world, it's called reality. That's what we're dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all right, though, because I already knew exactly where you were going.
And where is that?
Your boy, Paul Skeens.
Yeah, we got to start with Paul Skeens. We will get to plenty of football stuff throughout the course of the show. There was some news a couple of days ago on July 4th where an agent leaked what a Texas Tech commit is going to get. And I have thoughts on multiple fronts on that, and I'm excited to get your thoughts, Jay, because there's multiple layers to it, to where not only the amount of money, it kind of tells you what the market is for some of those position players coming out of high school, but then on top of that, the morality or the decision by the agent to release the terms kind of tells you a lot, I think, in my opinion, on how that agent specifically operates. You might have, since you've been in actually dealing with agents in your past, you can probably provide some unique insight on that. But we'll get to that. We'll also talk NFL, because I want to get to, we're less than a month obviously away from preseason starting. The NFL divisions, there's a couple of them that are really, really competitive. We have seen the AFC West obviously continue to bulk up, whether that's Geno Smith going to the Raiders, whether that is the Chargers continuing trying to load up, or the Broncos. Now you look at that division and it's just an arms race in the AFC West that everybody's trying to chase down the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously. But then first I want to talk a little bit of baseball, because the All-Star deadline is approaching. Trade names are being floated out there. One that is unnecessarily being floated out there is Paul Skeens. He's going to be a Pittsburgh Pirate for the next couple of years. It's way too early in the process for the Pittsburgh Pirates to cut ties with their sensational starting pitcher in Paul Skeens. However, he was selected to the All-Star game, and it was announced over the weekend. And I saw this statistic come across the wire over the weekend. Paul Skeens has had one win in his last 13 starts. But in those last 13 starts, he has a 1.72 earned run average. He's on average per his appearances, he's allowing less than 2 runs in his last 13 starts. And only one of those 13 starts, it resulted in a Pittsburgh Pirates victory.
Yeah, I mean, he's a great player on a I would like to say average, below average team and a below average organization. And I know it's a small market, and obviously this is something that Pittsburgh Pirates fans have dealt with all the way back when they had the likes of Barry Bonds, my man Bobby Bonilla, and Andy Van Slyke, and all those guys that were there, and they had great players, and they weren't able to pay them. Now, the salary cap or the baseball financial environment was significantly different. But when you look at Paul Skeens, right from college, he's came in and been, their ace. And then obviously when you don't have any run support and you still make an all-star game, that's actually more of a credit to him. And it shines so much light on him that it shined even brighter on everybody else on the team.
Yeah.
And so it's just part of, I always say this, baseball is one of those sports. If you have one player can win you a game. You've seen it back in, when you were real young, and Randy Johnson.
Yep.
Being dominant against some home run hitting teams. Great pitching beats great bats all the time.
Yeah. Well, and the name of the game nowadays is a lot of it's home runs, right? Like I've talked extensively, and I won't go into it, but I've talked deep about how velocity is a big part of the game, obviously now. And you've seen guys continue to run the meters red to say, and like, here's another crazy statistic here for Paul Skeens. And it's all hypothetical, right? And it's all what if conversation. But Paul Skeens, in his 42 career starts, we're talking, this is a guy still just on the precipice of entering the league. Paul Skeens has a 15-10 record in his 42 career starts. In those 15 wins, he has a 1.09 earned run average. So just over a run allowed per game. Then in the games that he's lost, he has a 2.19 earned run average, which would still put him at the top of the league in terms of consistent output. And how about this little note? If the Pirates could have given him 3 or more runs of support in every single one of his 42 starts, his record would be 28-1.
That's, you talked about the agent of the Texas Tech offensive lineman.
Yeah.
His agent, you need to start having some serious conversations right now. Because, he's come in and he's a very dominant pitcher with minimal support in wins and in losses. You have to start thinking, number one, you got to start, if I'm an agent, my job, what they say it is, or what they'll tell you is, my job is to make the best decision for you, both on the field, on the diamond and off, right? But then also there's this third one that's actually probably as big or sometimes rains down into the other two, is your legacy. Because, yeah, you can have all these great stats, right? What you just named, right? Yeah, if he had 3 runs, he'd be 28-1 and all this other stuff. But that's not going to get you into the Hall of Fame. That's not going to get you into an all-decade team. That's not going to get you into, if he continues on this pace, sure, he might go into the Pittsburgh Pirates, Hall of Fame. Maybe.
If he stays there long enough, but the Pirates also haven't shown a tendency to keep guys like this for past their rookie deals.
So now you're answering my question. Their tendencies are to use you up and then let you go.
Yeah.
Well, if that's their tendency, you already have the answer to the test.
Yeah.
You better be trying to move right now while you're listen, his value, if he continues, is always going to be high. A young pitcher this dominant to a team that's ripe for the picking to make a trade. You might have to give up another player, but that player, that's not your problem when you're trying to do what's best for your client. I don't think it's too far-fetched for him to get traded. I don't think it'll happen this year, but if he continues along this pace, especially after the All-Star game, those are conversations that you have to have, because it really, Nick, when you think about it, when they go into the offseason and then before spring training, there's nothing that the Pittsburgh Pirates could do.
No.
Besides literally trading for the New York Yankees, batting lineup to give him the support that he needs to catch up from all the potential wins that he's already sacrificed.
Well, and the Pirates are going to be, as we look at this deadline, the Pirates are going to be sellers. Like they're going to move Ke'Bryan Hayes. Ke'Bryan Hayes might actually move in division to the Chicago Cubs because the Cubs need a third baseman, and that's a name that's been floated out there. There's multiple other names from the Pirates that are floated out there as trade candidates that are pitchers, and it's not Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is not one of them. You mentioned it's the responsibility of the agent to have these conversations right now. Skeens is represented by Matt McConnell and Michael Holloman of Independent Sports and Entertainment. Not a well-known name.
Yeah.
It's not the Scott Boris's. It's not in football terms, it's not Drew Rosenhaus.
Right.
Like they're obviously important names and obviously have connections to the top picks. But it's crazy because you go back to draft night and you go back to Major League Baseball draft and Paul Skeens starting his career at Air Force before transferring to LSU in college ball. He kind of burst onto the scene at LSU. And he was obviously valuable at Air Force, but then to be able to make the move to LSU, but to actually take his game to another level. You'll remember Paul Skeens and his teammate at LSU, Dylan Cruz, were the number 1 and number 2 picks in the same draft. Dylan Cruz got represented by Scott Boras. Paul Skeens chose to go with Independent Sports Entertainment, chose to go with an agency rather than an agent.
Right.
And so it's interesting now in these moments to see how these guys handle it differently, because this is a situation to where Paul Skeens, wherever he's at, whether it's Pittsburgh or a bigger market, there'll be a big payday awaiting him unless something dramatic happens health-wise. It's just a matter of these are some important moments in your career, and you're at a place that has not prioritized starting pitchers. Their history of their franchise have shown that.
Right. And that's where you got to, the agency in Independent Sports and, entertainment. He still, Paul Skeens has an agent.
Yeah.
He has it. He's whoever their top dog is. When Paul Skeens calls, he answers. So, during this All-Star break, it's a great time for them to sit down and map out a plan. And, you can't, Scott Boras essentially scares teams into paying players and then obviously trades, because they know he has the top ranked players. It'll come around. The same with Drew Rosen and punch you in the face. And plus, Scott Boras has a lot of credibility, and he's been around a long time. And he knows a lot of people, so they know how he deals, right? When he calls, they already know what's happening.
But it still works. It's still effective.
It still works. But there always was the first couple times before Scott Boras became, quote unquote, Scott Boras.
Yeah.
He's got slapped in the face a couple times, had learned from it, and he's won obviously more times than lost. It's time for Independent Sports and Entertainment, agent or agents, to become their version of Scott Boras. And then Paul Skeens has to be on board with it. This is a great opportunity for him to say, listen, man, you can't love the franchise back that doesn't love you.
I look at this. I mean, that's a great way to put it. And you in your history, I'm going to ask this. Who's like a player that comes to your mind in any sport, football, baseball, basketball, any of them, that from a career standpoint, I don't want to use the word trapped, because this is still life-changing money. The situation,
you're highly compensated.
Yeah, the situation is bad, but it could always get worse.
Right.
Who has been somebody that was in a really, really bad situation, an exceptional talent, and I'm going to use the word trapped, was just trapped in where they were? Is there anybody that comes to your mind in any sports?
I'll just do like recent, because most of our listeners were. I got two. One has a little bit of Nebraska connection. Number one is Myles Garrett.
Okay.
Now he controlled it where he could have possibly had out, but also the amount of money, or amount of assets, picks, and players that would have took the movement. They knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
He got drafted by the Cleveland Browns. That's essentially you're trapped, dude.
Mm-hmm. Cleveland's
going to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Right. That's number one, but he's highly compensated, right? So that kind of makes it a little bit easier when you got $272 million as a defensive player and all that other stuff. So, now will he be able to kind of get out of jail towards the end of his career and still have the tread on the tires, the want to, and the energy to get, wins in the playoffs, Super Bowl rings if Cleveland isn't able to make it, which is highly doubtful. Another one is right in their division, and it's only based on last year. And I'm talking about the production, because him making his Super Bowl previous, I can't say he was trapped, but I'll say Joe Burrow.
Okay.
The stats that he put up last year, their offense, was a byproduct of essentially being trapped because of the moves, and we're seeing it this offseason. You're not paying Trey Hendrickson. You draft Stewart from Texas A&M.
Yeah.
You have some stupid contract that you're trying to pull a wool over his eyes. Trey Hendrickson's potential replacement isn't there. And Sam Hubbard was so mad he ended up retiring early. All your stalwarts are gone. And then also, let's not forget, Nick, and this is how one thing can, and I saw a little bit of this with David Carr, and maybe I was going to say Andre Johnson, but is that you got rid of your defensive coordinator that interviewed the last 2 off seasons for head coaching job.
I think it's tough because Myles Garrett is a really fascinating example because he's had an incredible career. I mean, it's statistically speaking. Yeah. But then, Jay, okay, I'm going to be devil's advocate, just generic follow-up question. Why sign an extension?
Well, I mean, number one.
Why stay?
Well, because he probably realized the chances of him going somewhere was slim and none.
Okay.
And the NFL is different because the amount of money that he got to sign, you never can get that back, right? Because if he doesn't get it or if he holds out, that's money you'll never be able to replace.
Good point.
And plus, like baseball, hockey, basketball, all their contracts are guaranteed.
Yeah.
So even if you held out and just say you took a couple $1 million haircut, but then you got traded to Buffalo, and then you got a $200 million guaranteed, that's fine. Well, they're not doing that now. So yeah, you see $200 million come across the ticker, but it's really the first 2 years of the contract. Yeah. And he knew the most money that he could get, the most leverage he had was with Cleveland. And so that's why. Now, if there's, and some guys that, would take maybe a hometown discount, but he's a great player. He's putting up astronomical stats on a team with a suspect. I'll be nice and say suspect offensive output. And he's still unstoppable as a two-way defender as far as playing the run and the pass.
Because I mean, this is what I'll say. Just once again to kind of be the man in the middle here. Cleveland finished, just to kind of recap. The Browns finished with a 3-14 record. Myles Garrett requested a trade back on February 3rd of this year and said that the reason he wanted to request a trade was his desire to win. After the Browns front office expressed their unwillingness to trade him, they eventually agreed on a 4-year, $160 million extension, with 124 of that million guaranteed at an average salary of $40 million a year. The extension also included a no trade clause, keeping him with the Browns through the 2030 NFL season. And I sit there and I like my dumb response would be, you must not want to win that bad.
You signed up for this.
I mean, that's my thought of I don't want to hear any more complaints now.
Yeah, you can't. Well, the thing is, how when you have coaches and and this politicians where you ever interview, remember the one where Scott Frost said the Big Ten's going to have to adjust it up?
I do.
They keep playing that still.
Yes.
Right. That's the same thing with Myles Garrett. When you get to 2030, or 2027, and you want to win,
and you're coming off of back-to-back 3-win seasons,
right? They'll just push play.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. The only thing is that I think helps him is the no trade clause, because then he can dictate where he goes. And I think he went in there and asked for everything, not thinking he's going to get it. They're like, we need you so bad, you can have everything.
How legit are no trade clauses?
They're legit.
Okay.
I mean, there's
obviously they can't trade you without your permit. I get that, but I'm saying, do guys use those as techniques to say, I want to be able to dictate my own future, and so we're going to throw this in there? And
I mean, you got to be a really good player. Here, another guy before we go to break that's like this, Bradley Beal, when he was with the Washington Wizards. That's the exact same thing as Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Right. A Hall of Fame player putting up stupid numbers. Now he's with Phoenix, but right there, then he got traded to Phoenix.
Too long. Got stuck for too long.
Yeah, and a little bit older. You go to another org. You go from one bad organization to another. You still have a no trade clause, right? Because they just take your contract. And now he's towards the end of his career, still a capable player. But if Bradley Beal was on even just the Timberwolves, or the Miami Heat, I mean, you're talking about Bradley Beal in a whole different light.
Let's put a pin there. There's a couple more baseball conversations I want to have with Jay, and one is with the Major League Baseball draft just a week away or so. The Washington Nationals decided to fire their manager and their GM.
The manager is the bigger one.
100%. 100%. And these are two of the guys that helped them get to the World Series and win it in 2019. So we'll talk about that later in the show. But next, I want to get Jay's thoughts. We're going to talk a little bit more about agents as well and how they operate, because an agent of 5-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo, after he committed to Texas Tech, released the financial agreement in terms of NIL and rev sharing. We'll talk about that when we come back on The Drive.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old-fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, go Big Red!
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We're going to get up to 87 for a high temperature today, but we bring in a chance for some showers and thunderstorms this evening into tonight. Some of those could be strong to severe, with large hail and strong wind gusts being the main threats. We'll drop down to 67 tonight, maybe a morning shower tomorrow with a high of 86. Then we'll get up to 90 for a high on Wednesday. How about y'all just staring down it for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Summertime is here, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? Your dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so it can look and perform its best. Visit their website, huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
Finally, a good reason to have a smart house. Just say, Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket, and we'll magically start playing. How's it work? Nobody knows. Don't ask questions.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning. Now in our new time, we're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Now back to The Drive with AD, Raf, and Amon Green on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. It's The Drive. AD out today as Raf gets married down in Gulf Shores. Congrats to Raf and Tracy there. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline.
Man, Raf.
Does it just not sound exciting enough?
No, man. The way your body language is horrible.
It's nothing intentional.
Congrats to Raf and Tracy. We wish you years and years and decades of
I
bliss.
do.
No,
I
you
do.
Don't. No, you don't.
I hope much success. I don't know. I'm awkward about these types of things.
Yo, you definitely awkward.
I know.
Yeah. You awkward. Party of one.
402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys the entire show here. A good conversation on Paul Skeens and that whole situation with he's really good and the Pittsburgh Pirates are really, really bad. Here's a program, and maybe on a national scale they're talking about it, but maybe regionally we're not, and it's okay that we're not. The surge that Texas Tech is having right now just in the NIL department, because they found one big booster that wanted to sell his company and he got billions and billions of dollars from it, and he's just funneling most of it into the Texas Tech athletic programs. Five-star offensive tackle Felix Ojo, who was obviously a five-star recruit, had committed to Texas Tech on July 4th. His agent, Derek Shelby, tells ESPN that Ojo will join Texas Tech on a fully guaranteed 3 years, $5.1 million revenue share contract. Jay, since you've dealt with this in the past, and this is, college football, I suppose, the 5.1 is there's incentives built in. We learned that over the weekend doing some more research on it. However, why would an agent disclose this? What does it do for him?
Well, he's probably thinking it's going to help him attract other five-star recruits. And I think he's trying to build himself as kind of like a Drew Rosenhaus. And he's trying to, credibility, but then also it's free marketing.
Yeah.
Look what I got this guy. Just think what I could do for you.
Sure. I wonder, I think there's two sides to this. Number one is it tells you, I know you have stories. It tells you agents, do they care about you as an individual, or do they care more about the bottom line?
I would say there's more agents that care about you more about the money than individuals. There's a few that do. There's few, you can be successful obviously doing both.
Because I think then there's the other side of it of how by releasing details, and I don't want to get so caught up in that. I think it's more so just fascinating that this is the conversation that we're having on a college football player. But there's also something to be said about if an agent is so quick to release the terms of a college athlete, which maybe now we need to stop. I need to stop calling them college athletes. Bless you, Jay. Is that it cares more about his business. If I'm Felix Ojo, I'm sitting there going, this guy cares more about letting the world know what he got me to set himself up more than what about me. But then at the end of the day, he got him the money.
I don't think Ojo really cares. He got the money.
And then that's the other part of it that we were talking during the commercial. I mean, that's the other part that we were talking during the commercial break is that guys want other people to know what they're getting paid.
Yeah,
which is different.
There's some guys that make, I would say this, man. It's like there's a guy that's, he's an entertainment, he's for security. You need security for entertainers. He's kind of, he's been to prison before, and he kind of was talking about, like, obviously, Puff Daddy and all that and how you treat people. And when you become successful, how do you act? It really just magnifies who you are. And this guy's been successful. That's a success for this agent.
Yeah.
Hey, look at me. Look what I did. I'd assume, I'd like to assume, or like to think, I don't ever want to assume, that you ran this by this young man, Felix Ojo, before you released it. If you didn't, Ojo and his advisors and his family better, okay, this is about to be a short-term relationship because you can't trust this guy going forward. Now, is it a deal breaker? No, but it's obviously a shed light into who he is as an agent, as a professional. The one thing people don't need to understand is these guys don't have to be certified through, like in my case, the NFLPA, in Major League Baseball Players Association, or the NFL. So anybody could be an agent, and he's trying to, grow his business. So, I can see on one hand, more times than I understand it, it's free marketing. Because if I'm trying to get the next Jeremiah Smith, I'm saying, listen, I got an offensive lineman 1.5. What do you think I'm going to get you?
Yeah.
And then I got Texas Tech already as my watering hole with unlimited funds. They paid the young lady to play softball over $1 million. They're going to do it again this year. They not only have a big booster that sold his business, but they also have former alums that hit in the West Texas oil industry. Shout out to Monte Rieger. Your brother need a loan. You know what I'm saying? Hey, hook a brother up.
Nigeri Kennedy, the softball player that you're mentioning, it was so crazy because it was during the Women's College World Series. Pete Thamel, of all people, tweeted out that Texas Tech and Nigeri Kennedy had agreed on a contract for next season.
Yeah.
This was while the Women's College World Series was going on. She had an incredible performance the night before. She was about ready to play or throw again in the circle that night in the WCWS down in Oklahoma City. And you have Pete Thamel or any writer, national guy, tweeting out and being like, yep, Texas Tech and Nigeri Kennedy have agreed on a contract, essentially a contract extension for one more year.
Yeah, but you know what? That is perfect timing for Texas Tech. The first time they really made noise.
Yeah.
And they made some noise.
They did.
And she was at the forefront.
And they did it more now in the offseason, too, with softball specifically.
Right. So guess what? All softball players are watching that.
Yeah.
If you don't think that either changed some minds in the future about that, I mean, just think about it. Softball kind of more of a, on a national level, money, revenue, generating sport it was in obscurity.
Yeah.
Well, all eyes were on Texas Tech when this young lady took the mound. Pete Thamel doubled down on it. It opened the doors into living rooms of a lot of young ladies normally that maybe they weren't get into. And now we're still talking about not only Texas Tech softball, but Texas Tech in general.
Yeah.
So now here's on the flip side, Nick, and this is where this contract could come back, and this tweet by this agent could come back to bite you in the butt, or bite him and the player and Texas Tech in the butt. If you come in and they know that you got a big deal, so he's already a 5-star recruit, so everybody just knows he's going to get paid. That's always tell kids, you're going to get paid.
Yeah.
So just go play good. Okay, let's just say he starts giving up. First of all, you're going to get work anyways, 5-star or not. Okay, 6'7", 285 pounds. Listen, you're going to get blown past them. You're going to give us some sacks. The fact that people know what you makes every sack worth more in a negative. You get what I'm saying? You're not
absolutely. Yeah.
That's why.
Because it puts it, it's not, instead of it being a relative, oh man, he's getting over $1 million for this, or he's getting over 500,000 for this.
We're paying?
It is a definite, it's an absolute. It's a standard that you could set somebody to.
Yeah, well, and it's non-negotiable.
Yeah.
You can't, because here's what's going to happen. Well, he's only 18. Well, I ain't paying you like you're 18.
Mm-hmm.
So that's out of the door. I'm paying you. We're paying you that type of money so you don't play like a regular 18-year-old. But when you do, it's going to come back from the agent, from the player, and then, the evaluators, because they were like, well, this is what we pay for. We can go get Jay Foreman, that's a 2-star, and have him give up something.
That's a great way to think about it. The comment you just made about we're not paying you to be a normal 18-year-old. Because I think you can say that across, whether you're 18 or you're 22, that's not what they're not paying you. If you're one of the ultimate skill position guys, they are paying you to be an ultimate skill position guy.
Like, it'd be no different if, say, like I was, I guess, at Nebraska, or in this case, Texas Tech, and I had a good junior year, and they came out and say I was anywhere from like 2nd to 4th round pick. Well, then they compensate me at or above that to go back to that said school.
Yeah,
and I'm out there dropping passes. Well, here's how it works out. Well, you've been in college so long, you were good last year, and we're paying you not to drop the 3rd and 6th pass. Look, there's always standards, man.
Is that why? Are we going to eventually see, heavy incentives, like contracts that are based heavily on incentives?
Can't do that because I would never do that as a college kid, because you just look at the Patriots, Bill Belichick, and then you seen it with the Cowboys like last year with Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
All of a sudden,
I'm not saying it's good for the player. I'm saying it'd be smarter for the universities.
You could, and I do think the only way, the way I think it could be beneficial, because there's very few players, contrary to people's belief, that are making this type of money, that are making or are going to have contracts with say like a base salary with significant incentives. So then, therefore, they will play those guys, assuming they'll play those guys. They'll give you more chances than not to be successful.
The leash will be longer.
The leash will be longer. So I could see something doing that, but also it's still no. Okay, so he's making $2 million annually, right? Is that what it is?
A little less than that. But
okay,
yes.
Say he's making $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Either way, he broke bread. It's $1.5 million.
Do you ever see it to where? Now the biggest question, and we got this on the text line. We there was a couple of comments on the article as well. That what does it change if he enters the portal?
There's the new rules are
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So the new rules are in play. But I just that's where there's so much fluidity with situations.
It might be a 3-year contract, but it's a 1-year contract. Yeah. And before they had this, now before contracts, like if you start playing bad, all of a sudden your checks get a little light.
Yeah.
Just my bad. You're expecting $5,000, you only got 3. Well, that's based on your performance. You better start getting some sacks or whatever. So these kids, look, I want all the kids to get paid. I'm not up here and sure, what I'd like to have been, paid when when we actually were good, or like winning national championships and get compensated for it. No, but you get everything that you can. Listen, if Texas Tech is dumb enough to give you this money, get it. My thing is, you're going to get paid. When he woke up in the morning 3 months ago or whenever it was, he was a 5-star recruit. He'd been a 5-star recruit for quite some time.
Yeah.
So he knew he was going to get paid. So now, as you're in high school, you need to be practicing, preparing as if you're a college athlete or a football player, because that's the expectation for day one. If you're not getting your mugshot up there, or not mugshot, just your picture up there, when they introduce you, well, then you haven't lived up to the standard yet. You should be a day one starter. That's what I'm paying you like.
Yeah. And we haven't seen or heard about a lot of situations in locker rooms with guys knowing what other guys are getting paid either.
They know.
They know.
The worst thing I'm going to tell you the worst thing you could do.
But we do know that, guys talk about it, and
you can't do anything about it, though.
No.
And that'll work itself out. I'm going to tell you the worst thing you can do is be getting paid and be hot garbage.
Well, because then do some of the guys in the locker room look at you?
Oh yeah.
Is that the road we're going down?
Everybody knows who's stealing. This depends if you go in there with a mask on or just come in there without a mask on Mondays when you get paid.
What's better to kind of, if you're one of those guys that is underperforming, but still.
You better be the nicest guy.
I was just saying, what's better?
Teammate.
Is it best to acknowledge it and be like, man, I'm stealing from these guys, or is it best to just sit there and stay quiet?
You better be quiet, and you better figure out a way to start playing better.
Yeah,
because there are circumstances.
Yeah, good stuff there. 402-464-5685, Honda Lincoln Hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Jay Foreman filling in for AD today. AD will be back on Wednesday from Chris Raff's wedding. Super excited. There you have it. All right, we'll be back. History coming up next. Bagels & Joe is the best place to start off your mornings, and you can order your breakfast ahead of time on their app. You can't go wrong with one of their great bagel sandwiches or breakfast burritos. Stop by any of their 4 locations in Lincoln and their location in Seward. Bagels & Joe.
People always ask me, hey, Livy, what fuels you? Passion? Competition? The pursuit of greatness? None of those things. Raising Cane's is the only fuel I need. Their cooked-to-order chicken fingers always fills my tank, and the crinkle-cut fries and Texas toast are the perfect top-off for the perfect road trip. So when I'm running on fumes, I always refuel at Raising Cane's. But turns out, not everything's fueled by Cane's. Guess the old girl prefers her sauce unleaded. Raising Cane's chicken fingers. One love.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with Taco Night on Mondays or Whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Summertime is here, and you know what that means. Grilling season. You know what's more embarrassing than an overcooked piece of meat? Your dirty, disgusting, and grimy grill. Let the pros at Husker Grill Cleaning get you ready for grilling season. They'll take your grill apart piece by piece, scrub every inch, and reassemble it so it can look and perform its best. Visit their website, huskergrillcleaning.com today to schedule your appointment. Husker Grill Cleaning, serving Lincoln, Omaha, Malcolm, and more.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hey guys, you have heard about the Farrell's 10-week challenge for years on the ticket. If you still haven't joined us for this amazing challenge, what are you waiting for? You could be our next $1,000 winner like Derek, who just lost 30 pounds, 23 inches, and 8% body fat. Derek changed his life in the 10-week challenge, and so can you. Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We're going to get up to 87 for a high temperature today, but we bring in a chance for some showers and thunderstorms this evening into tonight. Some of those could be strong to severe, with large hail and strong wind gusts being the main threats. We'll drop down to 67 tonight, maybe a morning shower tomorrow with a high of 86. Then we'll get up to 90 for a high on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowda for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Now back to The Drive with AD, Raf, and Amon Green on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It's The Drive, brought to you by our friends over at Doors Plus. Make sure you visit them online, doorsplusllc.com today. All right, quickly in history, we still got to do it, even though AD's not here. On this day in 2019, this actually comes after a Team USA men's soccer loss last night. I don't know if anybody watched the Gold Cup last night. Mexico defeated USA 2-1 in the Gold Cup final last night. But on this day in 2019, the United States win their record 4th title in the FIFA Women's World Cup by knocking off Netherlands 2-0 there. But more importantly, Jay, not more importantly, but there's a birthday today that I want to get to. He was drafted 4th overall in what would have been the 95 NFL draft from the University of Colorado. Do you know who it is? University of Colorado drafted 1st round, 4th overall by the Washington Redskins.
Michael Westbrook.
That is right.
And had one of the most not legendary, epic crash outs ever.
Played in 89 games, I think it was. I looked it up.
He crashed out, knocked Stephen Davis smooth out. Hey, listen, Michael Westbrook is one of the dudes you do not want to trifle with. He's like an 80-degree black belt.
I was going to say, because obviously you have a much better grasp of who he was. I mean,
yeah, I was a freshman playing against him.
He was. That's why I asked you right before we got back. Remind me what years you played. Because his last year at Colorado was 94. He only had one 1,000-yard receiving season, and it was a sophomore year in 92.
Yeah, but you got to think he had. I mean, they were running the ball a little bit more, and the game was a lot different. And, but yeah, he was a really good player.
That is one thing I will say. Not Michael Westbrook related, but there's not been a lot of, after the draft happened and after everything with Shedeur and him getting his number retired and Travis Hunter and stuff, there hasn't been a lot of talk about those guys, about Colorado.
Oh no, they've been
it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah, I think Deion got sick and they had a couple big flips, recruiting day.
They're not. Draft. It's not that they're not doing work. It's just
not. I mean, you got.
It's not as polarizing as it was.
Well, it'd be hard to replicate that. That vacuum.
Yeah.
That's why people don't. I think that vacuum from those three at Jackson State. You're not going to get that again.
No.
They were like a traveling circus. They were like the Beatles, and they all mixed into one. I mean, we went up there, Nick. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was. I guess to that then, I don't want to say the leash get shorter, but the losses.
It's the same thing like that Texas Tech. Well,
that's exactly what I was trying to get at.
Here's the deal. Deion putting butts in the stadium. So
because that's the other thing is Texas Tech can go down on the road and that's the difference. If we want to bring in the Texas Tech thing and Felix Oja, the recruit, they can go out and pay another 5-star down the road and hope for a better result.
Yeah.
Colorado can't go get somebody that is on the same playing field as Deion.
Yeah, I think now all eyes, which I think they had good coaching staff. They got Marshall Faulk, and they got they on the sneak have a really good staff. Obviously have a pretty good team. But I think now the eyes and now you're going to start to get the internet heads out there. They're going to be focused more on the field. You couldn't say anything bad.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you had the ultimate eraser in Travis Hunter, the second ultimate eraser in Shedeur Sanders, And when Shiloh went healthy was a dude. And then plus they had different dudes out there and they always were winning. Now they're going to be in there trying to break down. Now it's going to be focused more on the field because they don't have that aura of those three off the field along with Dion.
That's crazy because, I mean, you don't have to look at one of the biggest questions of the offseason into next year for them, and we'll get to break in just a moment. The biggest question is who's going to be under center. You bring in Caden Salter, who is a really, really good group of 5 quarterback from Liberty through the transfer portal, but you also invested, I'll use that word, invested into 5-star quarterback Julian Lewis.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Salter, from at the beginning, but I think Lewis is going to get playing. Dion like playing freshmen.
You know who the most popular player on the team is when you're losing games. Backup quarterback. Every single time.
Yeah.
So
you better be backup, good looking too.
I'm not commenting on that part. Hour number 2 on deck. We got stuff to get to. Washington Nationals fired manager Dave Roberts, not Dave Roberts, Dave Martinez, and also their GM and their president of baseball operations, Mike Rizzo. There had a brain fart there, but we got to talk about that in the second hour. We're also going to talk a little NFL with divisions, and then also Jay and I will be 2 of the 4 people that are going out for Big Ten Media Days here in a couple of weeks to Las Vegas. What to expect from there as that continues to creep on us a little bit, just get closer and closer and closer. And then down the NIL world, this came out over the weekend as well. The whole Jeremiah Smith, what kind of gear he's going to be wearing because he signed a brand deal. And it's kind of the Rutgers basketball situation going on with Ohio State football, which obviously is a much larger product. So we talk all that in hour number 2 on The Drive.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Hauling has been a trusted and reliable hauling service in the community, and they have established themselves in the roll-off industry as well. Fast Mike's Hauling can help you with everything from demolition debris, estate cleanout, yard cleanups, and so much more. They also offer dumpster rentals and flatbeds to make those bigger jobs a little bit easier. Call Fast Mike's Hauling today at 402-450-6828 or visit them online at fastmikerolloffs.com.
Are kids better off in an intact family? You bet they are. This is Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Kids living in a household with married parents do better in school, they're emotionally healthier, and they're more likely to stay out of trouble with the law. If you're in a troubled marriage, of course you should do everything you can to save your marriage, if only for your kids' sake. This includes considering alternatives to divorce. Of course, in some circumstances, divorce is unavoidable. In either case, if you're a man facing a crisis in your marriage, let us help you at Cordell & Cordell. Remember, we're the partner men can count on.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln, Cordell & Cordell, 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to get up to 87 for a high temperature today, but we bring in a chance for some showers and thunderstorms this evening into tonight. Some of those could be strong to severe, with large hail and strong wind gusts being the main threats. We'll drop down to 67 tonight, maybe a morning shower tomorrow with a high of 86. Then we'll get up to 90 for a high on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowden for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Rick Heyman here from Sartor Heyman Jewelers. I want to personally thank our great customers for voting us once again the best of Lincoln. At the same time, we're celebrating our 120th year in business in the great state of Nebraska. You can count on Sartor Heyman for the very best quality, value, and customer service. When it comes to your jewelry needs, visit us at South Point, Grand Island, and the Outlet in downtown Lincoln. Visit us today at sartorheyman.com, and thank you for your continued trust after all these years.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Welcome to The Drive with A.D. Raff and Amon Green. Former Husker football national champion, speaker, and author, Aaron Davis.
Nebraska will win the national championship. The Cornhuskers beat Miami. It is history, 13-0, and bring that trophy back to Lincoln.
Former Arena Football League quarterback, former head coach of the Capital City Crush, and guru of Husker football history, Chris Raff.
25 straight wins for the Cornhuskers. One of the most dominating stretches in college football history.
We may have seen one of the best teams in the history of college football tonight.
12-year NFL veteran.
He's got some speed to go with strength.
Huskers and Green Bay Packers Hall of Famer.
Shovel pass to Green into Vikings territory. Bodily brought down.
And University of Nebraska East sports coach, Amon Green.
Look at Green all by himself. 20, 10, touchdown.
Sponsored by Doors Plus on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, right back to it. Hour number 2 of The Drive. Nick Sainer, Jay Foreman alongside, filling in for AD. AD back on Wednesday. 402-464-5685. The Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Sartor Heyman text line are both open for everybody here throughout the course of the show. Appreciate some comments there. I haven't been able to get to a ton of them. People are on your side saying that I'm not chipper enough. Unfortunately, IQ Crew said, why is the ticket not live by remote at Raph's wedding?
That
is impossible. To go live from a beach.
We could have went there. We could have done it if we really thought about it.
No. Somebody said Nick is always a hater, 10 out of 10. Somebody did say that you were being over dramatic, Jay. So there's that for you. And then the other one said, Aaron said, can you please quit talking about Texas Tech? Because I work with a guy and he's getting excited every time you guys mention Texas Tech. Thanks. Have a good day. The good thing is we are not talking Texas Tech in this segment. However, a SEC program is going to be losing their athletic director at the end of this year. This comes from Pete Thamel just about a half an hour ago. Oklahoma athletic director Joe Castiglione will retire from his full-time role during the upcoming school year, bringing an end to the longest tenured run for a current athletic director in major college sports. Upon the hiring of his successor, he will stay on as athletic director emeritus. And so there you have it with Joe Castiglione, a notable name, right? Like, yeah. I think we are entering this era, Jay, and maybe this isn't a great thing, that if you ask just casual sports fans how many athletic directors they'd be able to name, I think it's less than 10, in addition to the one that's at their school.
Yeah.
Joe Castiglione's a name that nationally everybody
knows. Obviously, Sankey.
Yeah. Maybe Chris Del Conte at Texas.
And then Smith from Ohio State, or was.
Yep.
He was there.
Yep. Now he's at Texas. Or yeah, now who's the one at Texas Tech or Texas A&M now? Oh, obviously Trev.
Yeah. You know who Trev
I was thinking president.
You know who Trev was. Depends on how you get there.
I wasn't trying to I wasn't trying to say anything.
Trev was trending about this time last year.
That's right.
Yeah, still trending.
I was not trying to get to anything.
You know what you was doing, boy. You know he was. It was this time last year. Joe thought you try to be slick.
I was not.
Yeah,
I was not.
okay.
I was thinking more so of
who's at Texas A&M. Everybody, listen, man. Listen, everybody knows about two names in the recent history that trended in Nebraska. Trev's one of them.
I was not trying to.
Yeah, you did. Who's that at Texas A&M? You slick.
But anyway, well, sometimes now I will say the honest mistake was I was thinking Gene Smith and obviously, but Texas A&M's AD that left to go to Ohio State. That's who I was thinking of.
Oh yeah, but Gene Smith he just retired. He was powerful.
Yes.
But
that's my thing is I like Gary Barta retired at Iowa.
Yeah.
So
who's the guy from Michigan? He got weird names like.
Well, I think Ward Manuel.
Yeah, Ward Manuel.
But also the president at Michigan is in a whole situation of his own.
Is his full name Warden? Yeah, but yeah, I mean you know what I think though, Nick. To be honest with you, when you start to see
just Ward.
When you start to see well-known, long-tenured figures either leave or retire from athletic director position, I think a lot of times they're tired of the BS right now. I mean, I think college sports has changed so much. You know, when you look at Ohio State or like even like Stanford, I know they're private, where they have a lot of sports in both men and women's sports, and obviously Stanford is big emphasis on education and so forth and so on. With the way this landscape is going with this $20.5 million, a lot of Olympic sports might get cut. I mean, sports that have a long history of success, and then obviously goodwill and good returns at each of these universities. So I think a lot of times these guys look at it like, hey, I hit my benchmark, I want to go. I think Caglione is maybe like, okay, listen, we hung tight in the Big 12, and when we were thinking about leaving.
Yeah,
and I brokered the deal or got the deal done to get us into what they thought or think is the most powerful conference in college football sports, and that's in the SEC. So you're right, like, hey, look, I've done enough. You're right. I mean,
you're right.
I mean, 25 years is a long time, and plus he'll still be around. Kind of overlooking his replacement.
The guy that I need to just clarify myself. The guy that I was thinking about who left A&M to go to Ohio State, Ross Bjork. That's who I was thinking of.
The more you keep talking, the bigger the hole that you keep digging. Just say this. This is a day that you need to come. Just be. It's Monday. You got to start your week off.
I'm starting my week off well.
Your hater rate is at 10.
Here we are
on RAF, and to say,
not on RAF.
I wanted to have one last dig at Trev Alberts.
That is not. No, I've never taken a dig. Actually, I've been one that publicly has never taken a dig.
You said, who's that guy? Who are you?
I misspoke, and I meant to say who left Texas A&M for Ohio State. I mean, what if I told you? So there's multiple places in the Big Ten Conference right now that have interim athletic directors, Rutgers and Maryland. If I gave you the name Rob Mullins, would you be able to tell me who he is? And that's okay. He's the athletic director at one of the most valuable universities in all of college football and college athletics, Oregon.
No. But you know what? Do you want to know who your athletic director is?
I would imagine so. Like,
I mean, I want to know.
We can't equate it to like a center in college football to say like, hey, if we're not talking about him, they're doing a good job. No, because I think then like when you're talking about leadership positions like this, look at the way we talked about Kevin Warren versus the way we referenced Tony Petitti. Tony Petitti has done good things.
Yeah.
For the Big Ten
he's
Conference.
Done excellent. He's actually
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's actually, when I talked, he was cool.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is there's a lot of things that Tony Petitti's done that coming off of the on the heels of Kevin Warren, and obviously Kevin Warren had to deal with the pandemic and this, that, and the third. But like, so there's going to be the reason I brought that up is because there's more things to criticize.
More things to criticize,
Yes.
and you obviously.
I think like Tony Petitti, we have to remember why they kind of lean towards Tony Petitti, and he had the background in TV and an executives with Major League Baseball and MLB Network, and I think like from this changing landscape of college athletics, I think it's important to have a guy that, when we're talking about conference leadership, that does understand the landscape of not only the major sports but also the Olympic sports, like you talked about. Because some of them are going to be the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, and he's coming from like the outside looking in, which in a lot of cases isn't a good, recipe for success. But in this case, it is, just because he has that sport or that TV background. So he's able. But then also, when you talk to Tony, it's really refreshing that he has more new ideas. And the reason why I know that is like I played with Josh Whitman at the athletic director at Illinois.
Yep.
When I was in Buffalo, and obviously he always knew. I mean, he was a tough competitor.
Yeah.
I mean, a tough dude. Strong-minded, smart, all that. So you knew he was going to be successful in any field that he chose to be in. And obviously, he had already talked about what he wanted to do.
He was an undrafted guy, I think.
Yeah, but he was tough though.
Yeah.
And he was used in his dealings of being a younger AD with Tony, and then with some of them, I think is kind of bridged that gap, because what you can get sometimes is if you have a longer tenured AD kind of stuck in their ways, right?
Mhm.
And can kind of, pigeonhole themselves into certain ideas and thoughts and then stop the progress as far as moving forward. And so, I think it's great. And, it's hard to, like if you're an AD, like you said, Mullins at Oregon, really when you think about it, it's always going to be Phil Knight and whoever the head football coach is. And so you are actually paid to be behind the scenes and make sure you're more of a CEO type, that you only are in front when you have to hire or fire somebody, or if there's something else that you have to do, because the fundraising that you have to do as athletic director is already done by Phil Knight. Now you're at different places. Like for instance, Josh Whitman told me, like, he was telling when he was making those hires, when he hired Lovie Smith and then the different basketball coaches, and then coming back and get Brett Bielema, you gotta fly around and make sure the money's right.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's a different type of thing. And you got to make sure you got to match that up with the potential of the team, fan support, all that. You got to do a lot more projections and say, like, if you're at Oregon where you're just like, hey, we got money coming in. So it's a difference of universities, but Castiglione has done, or Castiglione, was it Castiglione? Castiglione.
You're thinking of Jack Caglione. You spend too much time with Austin.
I got to get my Italian right. He's seen the college football landscape change 4 or 5 times in the last 6 years.
When do we get to a point to where we stop? And because I agree with you of the reason that a lot of these guys and gals are moving out of these leadership positions is because the landscape is changing. When do we get to a point to where we stop saying that, like, people using that as a reason? Because it feels like it just feels like it's always going to evolve.
Well, I think it's an easy reason for people to assume
it's cop out.
Well, I don't even know if that's the reason.
Well, of course,
you're
yeah.
right. So that's just what people think. We just did it.
Yeah,
and a lot of times when you, even like with Nick Saban, it was partly, it played into it, but that wasn't the reason. Yeah. The reason that he said is what he had to essentially plug a lot more holes from his staff that he normally hadn't had to do at that age. So maybe that's with him, and maybe there's a lot more stuff that he has to do at that age, and he's like, what, I want to enjoy the rest of my life and take a little bit of a step back, because him being a former AD but still being on the scene, he's still going to be in the scene.
Because that's and that's the other part is Castiglione's going to stick around with Oklahoma. I think like that is certainly a luxury as well for programs especially the ones that have rich history. Nebraska's in this conversation as well, right? The pro of having and the ability to lean on a guy like Tom Osborne. Maybe this was a decade ago, but after he just decided to retire and move on from his post, like here's what I would say, Jay. Like we'll be at Big Ten Media Days here we land in Vegas in 2 weeks from today, and here we are. We'll know who Josh Whitman is when he's walking around. We'll know Chris McIntosh. We'll know Troy Dannon, obviously, and Beth Gates and Ross Bork and those when they're walking around the Mandalay Bay. But if I told you to point out Mike Babinski to me, the Purdue athletic director who's been there since 2010, it'll be difficult to. Yeah. Or if I go to Austin and go, hey, Austin, go show me who Scott Dolson is from Indiana. Like, we might be able to make assumptions because of an entourage around him and things like that. But just seeing him up and down the street, that's where I think it really shows. And when somebody said on the text line, and I get it, like Bo Lever said, I don't want to know who they are because if you do, then there's drama. And that's accurate, especially situations at Michigan. And clearly who athletic directors are and who the president is because he wanted to go to Florida, then Florida didn't let him come in and this, that, and the other. But like, there's also something to be said about if you know on a national scale your leadership, that means you're prevalent and that you're prominent.
And there is a big difference between a Michigan, Nebraska versus, even though Indiana had a really good year last year, Indiana and Purdue.
Yeah.
And that's just part of it. And, I would like to think that Maryland people think that they would like to potentially creep up into that same conversation with the Under Armour support, even though I know it's not, Under Armour doesn't have the market shares like what they used to as far as brand awareness and all that, especially in the football field. But they want to get up there. Maryland is in particular has to do a really good job of separating themselves from the assumption and the perception, Purdue, Indiana, you can't be with them. And so, I think, knowing who your leadership is good. Now, if you see them, too much, then you're like, okay, what's going on?
Exactly.
But I think also it's just kind of where you're at, though. I mean, because you got to think when Gene Smith was in Ohio State, he was there, giving the lay of the land, not only for Ohio State, but for the Big Ten a lot of times in with or around, kind of with Warren, but then also dealing with some national stuff and well-respected as an athletic director and his mindset of it. He had to deal with stuff. And plus you got to be an athletic director that you're able to handle difficult situations with 100%, grace, but then also accountability, but then also make the decision in the meantime for the short term and the long term.
Is every Big Ten athletic director job a destination job, barring other things that happen behind the scenes? I'm not saying that I'm not, this is here. Let me preface it this way. I get hired at UCLA. I'll just throw that one out there because that's the first team I saw on my computer. I get hired at UCLA. I'm not saying here, I'm sitting here going, okay, what's the next step? Like, that's not what I'm saying. Because everybody asks, like, okay, do you think that this is his last job, her last job? That's not what I'm saying. Creme de la creme, because of, okay, so it varies by place still. Conference doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, I mean, I think, getting those jobs are just few and far between. So you're probably like, hey, there's no guarantee that I'm gonna get another shot. So it better be, you better like Lafayette, Indiana, really good.
That's my point, right?
So I think you take it with it is a destination job, but then also I think in the back of your mind, you have to be competitive enough to say, listen, I come in here to say Purdue or whatever and do a really good job. Opportunities are going to come both. Now you can't get much. I can tell you right now, you're not going to get a bigger job than Nebraska. You're not going to get a better job than Nebraska in in a lot of sports, or especially, athletic director. That's just my opinion. There might be some that might be a little bit more prestigious and all that, but like as far as all the perks and all that stuff, most likely not. And so I don't think you take a Big Ten in any Power 4 job thinking I'm going to next, because you might be, you might have to be there for my man from Purdue,
Bobinski. Mike Bobinski.
But I'll tell you that sounds.
He's from Long Island, 67 years old,
and that sounds like a Purdue name for athletic director.
He played baseball at Notre Dame. The other, we might have to talk Notre Dame in a short segment. What they're doing on the recruiting trail. Marcus Freeman.
Oh my god!
Have you seen any of it?
Yeah, I saw it, man.
It's hard to ignore.
We're right here. He just go.
Okay.
Talk about it. They signed Larry Fitzgerald's son.
Yep.
And they signed Jermichael Finley's
Yep.
son as well.
Yep.
And then they just got the running back, number 6. Was he a running back?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Look at you paying attention.
Well, it's everywhere.
It's not everywhere.
Yes, it is.
I have
It
not
must
shared
have got
one.
teleported from your phone to mine. I saw it and I was like,
Okay, so why?
why? Well,
Because there's
did they get Plaxico Burress' son too?
Yeah, so we're because we're now here we are. We can talk about this with a Nebraska scope maybe in the next segment about year 3 because everybody makes such a big fuss about year 3. But here we are with Marcus Freeman. We're starting to really see the shift from the way Brian Kelly operated, the way people viewed Notre Dame under Brian Kelly versus now under somebody like Marcus Freeman.
Yeah, number one,
also coming off of a playoff appearance.
Yep. I mean, national championship.
It helps.
Yeah, I mean, it more than helps. He's a younger coach, a player's coach. Now for the guys that, like I mentioned, that played, they know Marcus or know of Marcus from the field. More importantly, on the sneak, on his staff and on his support staff, and then around South Bend and around, let's just say, his 500-mile radius. I know this for a fact because Blake Baratz is Jermichael Finley's son's agent, who me and Blake went to high school together. He brings in he pretty much brings in all the former players. Not all of them, a lot of them, and they do the recruiting for him. So James Laurinaitis, who I know him very well. He's from, he's actually from Eden Prairie, but somehow sold out and went to Wayzata.
You didn't do a good enough job recruiting.
Well, here's what they did. They got the Barber brothers, and they opened up this, like, I hate to say busing.
Yeah.
And they went to Wayzata was the closest one. Eden Prairie said, man, you ain't coming here with that. Anyway, so James Laurinaitis, he's on staff now.
Yeah.
Now him and Marcus played together. But I just think that's the way it's going. And then when you sit down in there, so just imagine this is the deal. You got Marcus Freeman, James Laurinaitis, and say a host of other former players that played with or against these guys. And we ain't going nowhere.
How do you say no?
You can't. And then, they're selling them on the NFL stuff and all that.
Plus the resources that Notre Dame has.
Yeah, and the alumni and all that junk. I mean, not all the junk, but
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
All the other stuff.
Yeah, and they're doing well, but that's just everybody's doing it though. Now they're getting some next level guys.
Not everybody.
No, they're not. But they're I'm tipping my cap to Notre Dame.
Still. That's not what I'm trying to. I'm not trying to get you to do.
Not everybody.
But there's. I mean, there's a. I don't follow Notre Dame closely like we do with Nebraska, and obviously we don't cover Notre Dame. But the fact that you can just sense a shift in the way people view Notre Dame.
Oh, it's not the same soft Notre Dame.
No.
You saw that,
and that goes farther than the playoff appearance.
It started when they went down to Texas A&M. It was a different vibe. I told you that it was a different vibe. When it was,
I know, but that
walked out now, listen. Now you got a head coach that come out there in spandex. Now that's just something that the powers that be at Notre Dame, whoever your AD is, you just got to send an email. The dress code is not up to our standard. It's a little tight. We got to go from an extra medium to an extra medium. We're good. I think it's a different look at Notre Dame, and we'll see. I think right now they're riding the wave like they should. You lose in the national championship and you're pretty competitive majority of the game until Jeremiah Smith did his thing.
Well, yeah.
You should be able to pull some of these guys that come in. I mean, you got to think you had Ryan Clark's son who ended up, I think he just got drafted. You got Brian Urlacher's son there. And so, in Notre Dame's a national brand. And they've been, even when Brian Kelly was there, they were competitive. They were turning the corner slowly.
Yeah.
The last year with Brian Kelly. They were becoming more competitive in big-time games.
Tommy Rees was on that staff as well, offensive coordinator, because that was one of the holdovers that Brian Kelly wanted to take Tommy Rees with him to Baton Rouge, and he chose to stay with Notre Dame until Nick Saban called the following year and took him away. Speaking of ADs, just to put a full circle moment on that one, Jack Swarbrick at Notre Dame's a name that everybody knew nationally, got out of the game a couple of years ago, and they hired somebody new. So That's another nationally known AD, Schwarbrick, and
hard to. I mean, he's hard to replace because look, when you stand on business and say, you know what, we're stiff arm the Big Ten, and we're going to be independent, and it's worked out well for you, and really held your head above water in some turbulent time.
For sure. Wasn't expecting the segment to go that way, but it all started because Joe Castiglione, the Oklahoma athletic director, announced that he will retire sometime during the school year, which would be middle of football season, essentially. So we'll see what happens there with Oklahoma, obviously after making the move to the SEC a few years ago. When we come back, let's dive back into baseball. Nationals, and this can be across multiple sports because we've seen some organizations and franchises do this.
Man.
Clean house, essentially, just a week before a draft. So here we go. We'll talk about it with the Washington Nationals up next on The Drive.
Hey guys, you have heard about the Farrell's 10-week challenge for years on the ticket. If you still haven't joined us for this amazing challenge, what are you waiting for? You could be our next $1,000 winner like Derek, who just lost 30 pounds, 23 inches, and 8% body fat. Derek changed his life in the 10-week challenge, and so can you. Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
Are kids better off in an intact family? You bet they are. This is Joe Cordell of the domestic litigation firm Cordell & Cordell. Kids living in a household with married parents do better in school, they're emotionally healthier, and they're more likely to stay out of trouble with the law. If you're in a troubled marriage, of course you should do everything you can to save your marriage, if only for your kids' sake. This includes considering alternatives to divorce. Of course, in some circumstances, divorce is unavoidable. In either case, if you're a man facing a crisis in your marriage, let us help you at Cordell & Cordell. Remember, we're the partner men can count on.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Contact the domestic litigation firm of Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln, Cordell & Cordell, 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska, 68508.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to get up to 87 for a high temperature today, but we bring in a chance for some showers and thunderstorms this evening into tonight. Some of those could be strong to severe, with large hail and strong wind gusts being the main threats. We'll drop down to 67 tonight, maybe a morning shower tomorrow with a high of 86. Then we'll get up to 90 for a high on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowda for 93.7 The Ticket and TicketFM.com.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197. Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports, or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
What's it take to be a mentor with big brothers, big sisters? It takes 30 minutes and a cup of coffee. A video game, best 2 out of 3. It takes sharing thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, and loaded nachos at halftime. That's how you make an impact on a young kid's life. So go on, Share a few hours a month because mentorship may sound huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big. To learn more, volunteer, or donate, go to bebignow.org.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. To honor the new store opening, A1 is offering $25 off any service over $300, $50 off services over $500, and $75 off services that total over $750, all through July 31st. Schedule your appointment today at a1autolincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive.
Give your furnace a break with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Heartland of Nebraska Windows offers a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty of everything, while still keeping their prices affordable. Sounds too good to be true, right? Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned with their own team of installers. Give the window experts at Heartland of Nebraska Windows a call today at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. Elevate your home or business with the help of Heartland of Nebraska Windows today.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Now back to The Drive with AD, Raf, and Amon Green on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It's The Drive. Nick Sainert, Jay Foreman alongside, filling in for AD on a Monday. Hope the July 4th weekend was good there. This segment brought to you by our friend Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services. Jack, been a well-respected financial representative since 1999 that can help you protect your home, your vehicle, your family, or even your future. Visit one of their 2 Lincoln locations in Lincoln or Seward today and give Jack Russell a call at 402-421-9100 and learn how Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services can help you protect what matters most. I always appreciate Jack because he in his Seward office. I said it on air last Thursday when we were on air that I go to Seward every year for July 4th. I have family there. Played in a cornhole tournament. I got absolutely destroyed in the first round by the matchup. It just a bad draw. It was a bad draw. But anyway, so we lost in the cornhole tournament. I texted Jack and I said, "Hey, Jack, you hanging out in your Seward office today?" And he said, "Yeah, absolutely." So he stopped on by. We enjoyed a nice cold beverage together. And Jack, always a pleasure to run into him up in his office up in Seward. So make sure you check him out once again. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services. All right, Jay, I mean, it's puzzling. It's also not surprising for certain organizations when they make moves like this. This one, I'm still going to, even though they're amidst a rebuild and have been since they won the World Series in 2019, I'm still puzzled by the Washington Nationals decision to fire manager Dave Martinez and general manager Mike Rizzo over the weekend. You might say, Nick, why does it matter? Here's the deal. The Washington Nationals in the Major League Baseball draft that is 1 week away, they hold the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
And it's a fascinating conversation. We talked about it, and maybe not necessarily for the top of the round, or the first couple of rounds, the top prospects. But if you are somebody that's taken in rounds 8 through 15, you have a decision to make about is there stability in place? Because Major League Baseball does give you the opportunity to say you can get drafted, but you don't have to come and sign your rights away.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I think more with Martinez, just because, when you win a world championship, you kind of go down. I mean, not kind of, you go down in baseball history, and let alone in Washington Nationals history.
Yeah.
And, I think when you look at some of the players that the Nationals have, developed and then let go, I think that's more of a reflection of Rizzo, right? Now, whether, he didn't have enough backing to keep, the Sotos and all those, that's, you can't really find out that information. But when you have the number 1 pick, I do see what they're thinking. They're saying, hey, listen, this has been, not up to what they thought. This is an expectation firing. This isn't a standard firing, because if the standard was the standard, they wouldn't be operating like they have in years, previous. So this is an expectation. That's to generate, a new look or a new energy with the fan base to go along with the number 1 pick. You're getting rid of the last kind of connection to the World Championship. So this is you're essentially doing what we used to call, Nick, when you're down or up by 21 points in PlayStation, Madden reset.
Yeah.
The thing that's a little bit worrisome is this: it's so close. If you were going to fire him, today or yesterday, you knew you were firing him a month ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who's that? They have an interim GM starting, but they don't have an interim manager. How much work did they do together scouting? I'm sure they have a good idea who they're picking number 1.
Yeah.
Now, what about the other picks? And what about the philosophy on how they want to build a baseball team? This isn't just the product that you're going to get, running out, for, when they play at home. This is like your farm system. This is everything, as far as like your GM. He's setting forth that blueprint for all of them. And so now it's a reset, which you have some young, good talent that potentially that you might have to move or will be moved, because a new idea of what the standard is definitely going to be coming very soon.
So how about this? The Rizzo, their GM, had been the general manager and lead decision maker since March of 2009. Under his watch, they won 4 division titles. However, until 2019, they failed to advance beyond the division series in the postseason. The Washington Post reached out to Mike Rizzo and asked for a statement. And he said, quote, "The sun will come up tomorrow. That's the job. I had a great run, navigated that ownership group for almost 20 years. That's what's interesting is
last quote.
That last quote.
That last quote.
I dealt with that ownership group for almost 20 years.
Last little parting shot of grenade.
Yep. I don't have any other. I'm not going to be able to say anything else, but just this. 64 years old, Mike Rizzo. Washington also didn't name an interim manager right away. They said the announcement will come sometime today on Monday. I think it's really interesting because you look at the Washington Nationals. They're 37 and 53 on the season. They have some young pieces in CJ Abrams and James Wood, but their farm system, which is such a big deal in baseball, obviously, especially when you're not a massive market and when you're also not a desirable free agent destination, farm systems are very, very important. Certainly, more than likely, the number 1 overall pick in next week's draft is going to be Cade Anderson, the starting pitcher. We saw him at College World Series for LSU. He's more than likely going to be the number 1 pick off the board. But I think more notably, already in this season, we're not even to the All-Star break, and there's been 4 managers fired in Major League Baseball this season. Yeah. Brandon Hyde for the Orioles, Derek Shelton for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Bud Black for the Colorado Rockies, and now Dave Martinez with the Washington Nationals. All 4 of those teams got off to horrendous starts. But here we are. I mean, we're not even halfway through the season, and teams are just pulling the plug and saying we're going to go somewhere new.
Yeah, and it also lets you know that it's an arms race for the last few guys that are actually, good managers.
Yeah.
Because the bottom feeders, see, listen, once one does it, the others are going to follow because they're all in the same situation. They're not going to stick it out. And, and particularly this last one here with the Nationals with Martinez, you would like to think you have some, he's built up some goodwill and faith that he can turn it around if he gets the right pieces, which he hasn't had. Now, when you have Rizzo, the general manager, is like, I dealt with, people always, not people always, but I think people just kind of like, yeah, whatever. When I say, and I know, DP said the same thing, the product on the field is a direct, more times than not, is a direct reflection from the person at the very top.
Yeah.
Because if you have the AD, or not the AD, but the general manager just dealing with ownership, that lets you know there's probably about 10 big decisions that he wanted to make for the betterment of the team and the organization that they were like, no.
Well, and Washington's had pieces, right? Like they've had Steven Strasburg, they've had Jordan Zimmerman on the mound that was really, really good. Also the hitter. But then also, they were the first team that Juan Soto was a part of.
Yeah.
And they got pieces for Juan Soto. And
didn't they have Bryce Harper too?
They did have Bryce Harper.
They're like the modern day version of Montreal Expos.
Yeah.
Do you remember Montreal Expos?
I know about them.
Right. They had everybody.
Yeah.
Tim Rock Reigns, Carter, they had my man Big Cat Andres Galarraga, my man the Hawk, Andre Dawson. Do you know who Andre Dawson is?
I do know Andre Dawson, yes.
You know who Ryan Sandberg is too?
You mean famous Cub Ryan Sandberg? Yes.
Okay.
I do.
What about Mark Grace?
That one I'm less familiar with. Here's my thing though, is the fascinating piece is that they got rid of him and they're making these moves a week before the draft. In baseball too, Jay, with it being such a long draft process and also a very extensive and most of the time longer process to get to the major leagues. Like we hear about Caglione and we hear about Dylan Cruz and we hear about all these guys that, hey, last year they were playing in Omaha for the College World Series, and now here they are in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
For every one of those stories, there are 150 guys that don't make it ever, or it takes them longer than expected to get there.
Yeah, you got to think with
so that's where it's like with Rizzo in like this situation, free agency is important, but like you got to hit on dudes in the draft.
Yeah.
Like you need to hit on guys, and so. If there is some disconnect, and this is Nationals, this is with the Cubs, this is with the Royals, whoever it is, if you're going forward with this approach of like, we don't want to spend exuberant amounts of money in free agent year after year, you have to hit, you have to scout, and you cannot be disconnected in the front office.
But I would argue with this. If you don't want to spend money in free agency, I can almost guarantee you're not spending money or you're not really invested in the scouting and development.
There you go.
You're going to light switch it? What I mean by light switch, you're only going to turn it on when it's convenient to you? Not saying that you need to go out there and overspend and give unjust contracts. But if you're trying to be in a sport where, be frank, it's an arms race in baseball. Whoever spends the most generally are going to be the most successful. And you are saying out loud, I want to be cheap. That's your product. Because who would want to go play there as a free agent? Unless you're paying them like Myles Garrett, and then you're sitting there and now I'm potentially going to lose for the next 3 or 4 seasons. I think it's an ownership, and also I would like maybe a relationship with Rizzo and Martinez. It just started to fray, and it's a time for a new start. And maybe it's a lot like what I always question with when Cignetti came into Indiana. All of a sudden, you start to get a whole bunch of money into finding NIL money, right?
So it's been there. You just had to wait for somebody that you wanted to give it to.
Right. So now this might be more of a
That's essentially new energy, I suppose, right? Hey,
I like you.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I won't miss the meeting
Man,
with you.
Yeah, it's nice to have somebody new here. I love this quote when it comes to baseball, and we'll take a break after this. I love this quote. I just heard it on a broadcast yesterday, so that's why it's fresh in my mind. Jim Deshaies, who's a Major League Baseball broadcaster, pitched for I think 5 or 6 teams in his time. He's a left-handed pitcher. He said baseball is in the macro very, very predictable, and over the course of a season, baseball can be predictable, but in the micro, day to day, it's very, very inconsistent. And I thought that was, and he's like, most of the time, the teams that are the best ones are consistent day after day. And basically, to explain this in less complex terms, over the course of the season, you mentioned it, teams that spend the most in free agency most of the time are going to, in baseball, be the ones that we see playing in late stage postseason play. The ones that, so over the course of the season, the macro there, it's pretty predictable. We know the Yankees are going to be involved. We know the Dodgers are going to be involved. We know that the Astros, 5 years ago, were going to be involved. But in the micro, it's what can like teams like the Royals do over a 2-week span? What can teams like the Tigers do over a 2-month span? The micro standpoint, can they string some wins together? And then bam, you look at it and you're in postseason play and you're sitting there going, we didn't expect to be here at the start of the year, but because of what we did day after day after day after day, here we are. And that conversation's a little different. So I love that quote about baseball specifically, to where in the macro over the course of a season, it's very predictable. You can guess what's going to happen a lot of the times, who's going to be involved in some of the most meaningful games, but day to day, that's why it's so hard to predict. Also, all right, the Rockies, who have 12 wins on the season, could beat the Yankees, who lead the league in wins. So, I mean, it's just the micro's unpredictable. Macro, usually over the course of time, is pretty easy to guess out. All right, let's wrap up the show. Jay, let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it like we always knew this.
We're back after this.
Hey guys, you have heard about the Farrell's 10-week challenge for years on the ticket. If you still haven't joined us for this amazing challenge, what are you waiting for? You could be our next $1,000 winner like Derek, who just lost 30 pounds, 23 inches, and 8% body fat. Derek changed his life in the 10-week challenge, and so can you. Farrell's combines kickboxing, strength training, and nutrition coaching to get you the results you have been waiting for. Join us July 12th for the Summer 10-Week Challenge. Go to fxblincoln.com to enroll today.
Are you looking to upgrade or improve the garage door on your home? This is Cameron Hall of Doors Plus. At Doors Plus, we guarantee to offer a wide selection of options from 5 leading garage door manufacturers as we deliver a free estimate, exact measurements, and rapid installation with a 3 to 5 week time frame. When you choose Doors Plus for your residential garage door needs, you'll work with our experienced technicians and be ensured that your new door seamlessly complements your home. Give us a call at 402-590-5800 or visit us online at DoorsPlusLLC.com. Doors Plus, garage doors, and more.
Since 1983, Fast Mike's Hauling has been a trusted and reliable hauling service in the community, and they have established themselves in the roll-off industry as well. Fast Mike's Hauling can help you with everything from demolition debris, estate cleanout, yard cleanups, and so much more. They also offer dumpster rentals and flatbeds to make those bigger jobs a little bit easier. Call Fast Mike's Hauling today at 402-450-6828 or visit them online at fastmikeroll-offs.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Take control of your health with the DASH scan at Advanced Medical Imaging. The DASH scan is a full-body MRI designed for advanced health screening. This dynamic approach provides exceptionally sharp images across multiple organ systems, helping to detect potential concerns early. With minimal radiation and no invasive procedures, the DASH scan offers a safe, comprehensive look at your health. Plus, results are delivered faster than ever, giving both patients and physicians confidence in screening and diagnosis. Your health is too important to wait. Schedule your DASH scan today at Advanced Medical Imaging. Visit amimaging.com or call 402-484-6677 to learn more.
Hey Husker Nation, this is Todd Euler, two-time national champion, here to talk to you about Window World Lincoln. At Window World, we specialize in replacement windows, doors, siding, and roofing. Whether you're looking to enhance the beauty of your home or increase its energy efficiency, we've got you covered. And here's the best part. We offer the best for less. Our team is dedicated to providing top quality products and exceptional service at affordable prices. We want to earn your business and make your home improvement dreams a reality. So why wait? Contact Window World Lincoln today at 464-7313 or visit our website at WindowWorldLincoln.com. Window World Lincoln, where quality meets affordability.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
What's it take to be a mentor with big brothers, big sisters? It takes 30 minutes and a cup of coffee. A video game, best 2 out of 3. It takes sharing thumbs up emojis, clapping emojis, and loaded nachos at halftime. That's how you make an impact on a young kid's life. So go on, share a few hours a month, because mentorship may sound huge, but the truth is, it takes little to be big. To learn more, volunteer, or donate, go to BeBigNow.org.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at PAHLincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion for happier, healthier, furry friends.
93.7 The Ticket is your home for every Kansas City Royals baseball game. Bobby Witt Jr., Salvador Perez, Vinny Pasquantino, and the rest of the Royals attempt to make the postseason for the second season in a row. And you can hear all the action on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Your home for Kansas City Royals baseball. Now back to The Drive with AD, Raph, and Amon Green on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in one final time on The Drive. Jay Foreman filling in for AD. AD's back on Wednesday. Terrell Farley will join me tomorrow. The show brought to you by our friends at Doors Plus. Visit them online, doorsplusllc.com. All right. Final thoughts on this one. We got a text on the text line a couple of minutes ago from Bill and Bennett. It says, I hope you don't go through this whole show without talking about the beatdown that the Cubs gave the Cardinals yesterday, Nick. 11-0 was the final score. Cubs absolutely demolished the Cardinals. Just wrapping up on some texts that we may have missed. Old Dad 34 asks, why do I like Notre Dame?
You tell him you went to Pius X.
It has nothing to do with that, actually. I genuinely enjoyed watching Marcus Freeman and how he revamped the Cincinnati defense when he was the Cincinnati defensive coordinator under Luke Fickell. And then he got the defensive coordinator job at Notre Dame and then ultimately got the head coaching job. And it was also the way that you can't believe everything you see on social media. I get that. But it was the way that the reaction from the locker room when they found out that he was the head coach, I think tells you a lot about the way that guys in that room view him. I mean, you can speak more to that too.
Yeah, I mean, as a defensive coordinator, you're coaching every position, obviously on defense, but then also you're connecting with offensive players too, because you're competing against them, and they see, and they all talk, and they probably didn't want a lot of change, considering that Brian Kelly left a recruiting visit and jumped on another plane and went down to Baton Rouge, and then
at like 7 a.m.
and then had that tried to do the accent, and so they felt like Marcus Freeman wanted to be there. I think Marcus Freeman could have possibly went other places as well, and so he made it be known that he wanted to stay, and there wasn't a lot of turnover staff-wise, at least that first year. So, he has that energy with him. I mean, he's in there lifting with the players, obviously.
Yeah. So
he's wearing a lot of the same shirts that the kickers wear too.
Now I will say the one knock against Marcus Freeman has been that he's lost a quote unquote bye game, an easy game each year.
You don't even hear that.
Marshall, Northern Illinois.
You don't even hear that anymore because they beat Penn State, and then they took Ohio State down to the wire.
Destroyed Indiana, beat Penn State, and then
Penn State was
the big one.
Now, if he would have lost to Indiana,
Drew Aller. Now, here's another thing: is Drew Aller. That's your boy. People forget.
That's James Franklin. Every time I pick James Franklin, man, first of all, he cost me steak dinner.
Make sure you stick around. Adam Carricker Show is next. If you missed any of this show with Jay and myself, make sure you check it out on the podcast page. Terrell Farley joins me tomorrow. Jay, appreciate you, my friend.
Yeah, no doubt.
There it is. Adam Carricker coming up next.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
A1 Automotive's second location is now open at 5110 State Hill Drive, just off of Yankee Hill Road. The new location continues to specialize in all makes and models and provides personalized service as they have for 15 years. To honor the new store opening, A1 is offering $25 off any service over $300, $50 off services over $500, and $75 off services that total over $750, all through July 31st. Schedule your appointment today at A1AutoLincoln.com and visit their new location in South Lincoln at 5110 State Hill Drive.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We're going to get up to 87 for a high temperature today, but we bring in a chance for some showers and thunderstorms this evening into tonight. Some of those could be strong to severe, with large hail and strong wind gusts being the main threats. We'll drop down to 67 tonight, maybe a morning shower tomorrow with a high of 86. Then we'll get up to 90 for a high on Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Aaron Dowda for 93.7 The Ticket and ticketfm.com.
Are you looking for a place to relax and unwind after a long